This courtroom moment is wild from the start. A man who identifies with so-called sovereign citizen beliefs ends up in serious trouble after police catch him driving without a license, using a fake license plate that literally says, "Traveler," and then resisting arrest when officers try to detain him. What he may have thought was a simple traffic stop quickly snowballs into multiple charges, and now he's standing in front of a judge who has clearly seen this kind of thing before. But it doesn't stop there. The court learns this isn't his first issue. He previously failed to appear, ignored court authority, and keeps pushing the same arguments that never seem to work. His attorney steps in with an emotional defense, claiming he reacted out of fear during the arrest and struggles with the legal system. Meanwhile, the judge's patience starts wearing thin. You can hear the frustration as the court warns him again and again that the law still applies, no matter what someone believes. The tension in the room is real. The judge has to decide, come down hard because of the repeated behavior, or give him another chance and hope he finally follows the rules. The decision sparks debate. Was the court too lenient, or was this a fair balance between accountability and opportunity? This case is a perfect example of what happens when internet legal theories collide with real-life consequences, and the outcome might surprise you.
Hear the PC, if we can, Judge. And then on the bond reinstatement as well, Judge.
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to provide...
Traveler? Okay.
During the stop, the defendant refused to provide ID or insurance information, stating, "I do not consent to this." Officer attempted to remove the defendant from the vehicle, and defendant actively resisted by pulling his arm away from deputies until he was detained.
Okay. Tell me what.
So we looked at, well, I'm sorry, Madam Prosecutor, the interference with duties of public servant, Your Honor. Even if my client is failing to give them that, then it is an arrestable offense. But in this situation, it is, Judge. However, in this particular situation, he didn't interfere with anything in terms of his own arrest. I can, you know, if it was a resisting or something to that effect, I can.
They're just trying to get him out of the car.
I don't disagree.
It's classic sovereign case where got the license plate, think that traveling by right is what I think how they term it. You know,
in this situation, Judge, and the reason I'm employing upon the court is, even from what Madam Prosecutor has seen on the video, they're pulling and tugging at his arm, which put my client in some fear. It was more than one officer. It was pretty.
But he still has a duty. If they're asking you to come out, they can lawfully do that. And there are videos, and go on YouTube, right? There are hundreds of videos where officers will literally destroy your car to get you out. When you get into a pissing match with a person who has the power of arrest, who's going to win, Mr. Daly?
We don't disagree, Your Honor.
Right. You know what I mean? That's real life.
We don't disagree, Your Honor. I think under the circumstances of what actually happened, it was not Mr. Daly's position to resist or to interfere. That was not. He was concerned for his safety at that point. And actually, I don't know, did you hear that on the video? Right. And so in reviewing the video, it was pretty quick, pretty brash. They didn't give him an opportunity to respond per the prosecutor. In this situation, it wasn't as if he was intentionally.
Remember, this is just a mere probable cause.
Yes,
so
I agree.
You know, they ask you to come out of the car one time. Yeah, you know, it's really that's so. I mean, I think that there's enough probable cause to go forward now. The problem is, Mr. Daly, is that we revoke your bond. Your bond is set at 2501, and you've continually failed to appear. So, you know, the case and the way that you've treated us, it shows me that you just refuse to accept authority. How are we supposed to deal with that? How do we deal with that, Timberland?
Your Honor, the only reason I bring to your attention is I asked the court to take into consideration, we have a black male works every day who, and I hate to put that on the court, but I do in this particular climate, that has never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system. And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one. Number two, when they do come in contact with police, and my mother is assistant chief of police. So I can understand, even when I was younger, I was taught that there are certain things that you have to do with when a police officer even stop you on a speeding ticket. What we don't know is whenever these officers come up, when you're somebody who don't have the privilege of having a, police officer as a parent, or who isn't familiar and is being raised in this particular climate and seeing what they see on TV and seeing what they hear and everything that has occurred, you don't know what the proper steps are. I was trained from when I was grown up, what you do. I'm not saying that what he did was right or wrong. I'm not saying that how he reacted to this particular court, it is wrong. However, I'm employing upon the court to ask the court to take into a little bit of consideration. Number one, what you know about me, I'm a tight attorney. I run a tight ship. So, and by which of way I believe I can reach him and getting him to court and resolving this matter, which is what I talked to the prosecutor about when you were on break. It's like, let's just resolve this. Let's take care of this.
I'll buy it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm not going to do this again, though. I promise you. I don't care whoever you have. If you flake on us again, that's 3 times. It's out. I'm not going to do it again. Do you understand, Mr. Daly? I mean, when you come to court, good things happen. When you don't show up and you continually do it, you can't expect good things to happen. Now, do you have a Texas driver's license?
No, right now.
You're not allowed to drive.
Right.
You have a bond condition and you've signed an affidavit with me today promising you're not going to drive. I don't care how you term it. Driving, traveling, however you're going to word it, whatever you do not get into the driver's seat of an automobile, a motorcycle, anything with a combustible engine where you can get on the road unless you have approval from us. Do you understand? I don't care that you have to work. I don't care if you have to go to church. I don't care if you're going to a funeral. I don't care if you're going to wherever it may be. Do not drive. Do you understand? Heed this warning. You're not going to get another one. Okay, Timberland, I'll reinstate the bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'll talk to her. We were going to try to talk to Chief, but it's pretty busy
I think the case is only 3 months old,
Yes.
so you've got time. You can do whatever you want.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court now, but you must stay in touch with her and she'll tell you when you got to come back to court. If she comes back and tells me she can't get a hold of you because you're playing games or you've gone AWOL or whatnot, or you get arrested for something else, all bets off. We good? I'm not asking for much, man. Really. And for future reference, when you get into a pissing match with someone with the power of arrest, you are nearly always going to lose. It's just the way it works. And as a young black man in today's society, you got to be extra special careful because things can go really wrong really quick. And there's evidence of that over and over and over.
This courtroom hearing centers on a man who follows so-called sovereign citizen beliefs, and from the very beginning, you can tell this isn't an ordinary traffic case. What started as a routine police stop turned into a legal situation that spiraled fast. Officers pulled him over and immediately noticed something strange. The license plate on the vehicle didn't match any official record. Instead of a state-issued plate, it displayed the word traveler, a term often used by people who believe they have the right to move freely without government permission. That belief might sound philosophical online, but in traffic law, it creates real legal problems. When officers asked for a driver's license, he didn't have one. Not suspended. Not expired. Just none. From the officer's perspective, that already establishes a violation. But instead of cooperating, the encounter escalated. According to the report, when officers attempted to take control of the situation, he resisted. Not violently attacking, but pulling away, refusing to comply, making the arrest harder than it needed to be. That resistance is what turned a traffic stop into a criminal charge. Now he's standing before a judge, and the atmosphere in the courtroom is tense but controlled. The judge already knows this defendant has history with the court. This isn't a first-time mistake or someone confused about paperwork. He had previously failed to appear, meaning he ignored a court date. That alone signals to the court that this person doesn't take legal obligations seriously. Judges notice patterns, and patterns matter more than excuses. The defense attorney steps forward and tries to reframe the situation. She argues that her client panicked during the arrest. She says multiple officers grabbing his arm at once triggered fear, not aggression. She suggests his reaction wasn't criminal intent but emotional response. She also brings up a broader social context, implying her client feels distrust and anxiety toward the legal system, which may have influenced how he reacted in the moment. It's an appeal for empathy, not denial of what happened, but an explanation for why. The judge listens, but you can see the careful balance happening. Courts hear fear-based arguments often, especially in resisting arrest cases. The issue is that fear doesn't cancel the law. Officers still have authority during a lawful stop. The courtroom is where feelings meet legal standards, and the judge has to separate emotional explanation from legal responsibility. Then comes the bigger issue, the belief system. People who identify with sovereign citizen ideology often claim they are not subject to certain laws, especially driving regulations. They argue they are traveling, not driving, or that licensing is a commercial requirement, not a personal one. These arguments circulate heavily online, but in courtrooms across the country, judges consistently reject them. Traffic law applies to anyone operating a motor vehicle on public roads. The court doesn't debate philosophy, it enforces statutes. The judge's frustration becomes clearer when discussing the missed court appearance. Courts run on schedules and compliance. When someone fails to show up, it signals disregard. From the bench's perspective, that behavior weighs heavily in decisions about bond and future trust. A defendant who doesn't appear once might not appear again. Still, the judge doesn't go straight to maximum punishment. Instead, there's a measured approach. The bond is reinstated, meaning he's allowed to remain out of custody, but with strict conditions. The warning is direct and unmistakable: do not drive. Not even once. Not until properly licensed and legally compliant. And absolutely do not miss another court date. It's the kind of judicial tone that says, this is your last margin for error. That moment creates mixed reactions. Some people watching might think the court was too lenient. After all, there were multiple issues: no license, fictitious plate, resisting arrest, prior failure to appear. Others might argue the court did what it's supposed to do: give someone an opportunity to correct behavior before imposing harsher penalties. The justice system often works in stages, escalating consequences when warnings are ignored. There's also noticeable courtroom dynamics involving the attorney. She appears very supportive, even protective of her client, emphasizing his emotional state and personal fear. Some viewers interpret that as compassionate advocacy. Others see it as overly familiar or theatrical. But defense attorneys often humanize clients on purpose, it's part of the role. They present the person, not just the charges. Underneath everything is a bigger theme. What happens when internet legal theories collide with real legal systems? Online, people can repeat ideas that sound empowering. You don't need a license, you're not subject to that law, just say the right words. But courtrooms operate on written law, precedent, and procedure. Judges don't argue ideology, they apply statutes. And when someone walks into court expecting philosophy to override code, reality hits hard. The defendant now stands at a crossroads. The judge has drawn a clear line. Follow the conditions, show up, stop driving illegally, and things might stabilize. Ignore the warning, repeat the behavior, misquote again, and the consequences will escalate fast. Judges rarely repeat the same patience twice. What makes this case gripping isn't shouting or chaos. It's the quiet clash between belief and authority, emotion and statute, second chances and repeated mistakes. The courtroom becomes the place where personal narratives meet institutional rules, and only one of those ultimately decides the outcome. And now the future of this case depends less on arguments and more on choices. Because after a warning that clear, the next move belongs entirely to the defendant.